It's Shannon from Creative Chaos in Tennessee, and today I am back with something a little bit different. So I am going to do this messenger bag tutorial. I am using it for a little Galentine swap, and you can see here it's super cute. That it is very simple. The only tools you need is glue, paper, some chipboard, your trimmer, your scoreboard, and a score tool, and glue. I don't know if I said glue, but that's all you need to create this. So this opens up, and I did put a little, I can't even think of what it's called, but one of these on here, to sticky it together to hold it in place. And I have, as you can see, filled it up with some little goodies for my swap partner. So I have a chocolate bar, some socks. I think we was required to put in socks, a sweet treat, self-care items, which is this little nail kit, and we had to have a handmade goodie and then package it pretty. So I'm including some of my flowers. I'm including a shaker I made and some other little of my printables I jazzed up. So that's what I'm including. As you can see, it has dividers in it, so you can hold lots of little things in here. It's super sturdy, and I think it's just fun. And then just to jazz it up, this stuff's a little bit tall, so it's a little bit disfigured putting it together. But it's really easy. So I'm going to run through all the pieces that you're going to need to cut. And I'm going to score them with you. As you can see on here, I have sewn around all of these. And I did that, of course, before I assembled. Oh, yeah, and you're also going to need some brads. Or you could use a stapler or something like that if you want to for the handle, because you can hold it by the handle. So, just FYI. So, I will show a picture at the end of all the other ones I've created in different color combos. I absolutely love this. I even used basic gray on one of them that I made for myself. So let's get busy. Alright, so I'm going to just run through all of these pieces with you. You can pause it, you can work along. We're going to go through each piece and I'll tell you the measurements again. But just off the top, that way if you want to go ahead and cut all your paper, I do recommend going through, cutting all of your pieces that you need first. If you want to sew on it, which it's not required, y'all know I'm just a little extra. But if you want to sew, do all of that stuff first. I would recommend scoring all your pieces first, then sewing. But I went ahead and sewed, and then I'm going to score with you guys, so that will make it a little more difficult. But either way. So first off, you're going to need your straps. Now, all of my paper is double-sided. For most of these, you do want them double-sided because you're going to be able to see both sides of them whenever you're undoing it. When you open it up, you know, you're going to see both sides of the paper, even inside here. The only one you really don't need to have double-sided is the one we're gluing to the chipboard for the inside, because you're only going to see the top of it. So if you could just use a solid colored cardstock if that's what you want, but I think it's super cute doing it pattern. But you want to do it double-sided. On these straps, you could even double up, or on any of them. If you have single-sided paper, you could always glue two pieces together, so it would be front and back. That works too. I actually did that on one of mine because it was single-sided paper, and it just makes it even more sturdy. You do want to use a heavier weight paper. Don't use the real thin, cheap stuff because it will not hold up to the weight of putting anything in it or opening and closing it. And I used the Close to My Heart Love Notes paper that y'all been seeing me use. So, I put double-sided, sew if desired. For your 2 long straps, you're going to need 2 long ones and 2 short ones. So for your 2 long ones, you're going to need them 1 inch by 11 inches long. So you're going to need 2 of those. And then for your short ones, you're going to make 2 of those also. And you're going to need them 1 inch by 4.5 inches. So this is your measurements for your straps. And then these are going to be your side gussets. So these are going to get scored. But you're going to need 2 of those at 3.5 by 6 inches. You're going to make 2 of them. And then we're going to score on the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch 11 times. So as many times as you can do 1/2 inch. So it should be 11 times to score it. But 3.5 by 6, and you're going to need 2 of those. For your top handle strap, which is this, you want it to be double-sided, of course, so if desired, but 1 by 5.5 inches, you're going to score it at 1 inch, flip it over, score it at 1 inch, and then you're going to poke a hole in the center of your straps once you get it on, but we'll get to that. But I have it all wrote on here for your all's instructions. So 1 by 5.5 inches for the handle. And I meant to be kind of showing y'all these so you can decide what paper you want where. So this was the side gussets. I am changing the paper up a little bit on this one. But this one's the side gussets where it's going to go. And then, of course, these are your handles. And then the short ones are the ones that's going to go right here. So if you prefer, you know, to have them in a different pattern or whatever, you can do that. And then you're going to have 2 of these little bitty tiny tuck straps, and that's just these right here. So you're going to need 2 of them at 1/2 inch. Make 2. And you don't need to do anything to them. So that's those. And then your inside dividers, you're going to make 2 of these, sew them if you desire, double-sided, 3.5 inches by 5 3/8 inches. And that's just your little dividers that's going to go in here on the inside, which you can't see it with all the stuff stuffed in them. But I did sew them, and you have 2 of those in there. And you can see front and back. That's why I say do double-sided. But you could totally use just a solid cardstock if you wanted to. And doing them everything at a heavier weight just helps it hold up more. Especially on the inside whenever you're putting stuff in it. So that it gives a little, instead of having all these popped out and stuff. Going crazy. That's why the heavier weight cardstock or paper is great. So you're going to have 2 of the inside dividers, 3.5 by 5 3/8 inches. And you're going to make 2 of them. And then next is going to be our folded lid. Now normally, here's another one I made. Using my basic gray paper that I was hoarding. You can see on this one that it's really rounded. Like I said, this one's a little disfigured because some of my stuff is too tall really to be fitting in there, but I need it like that to mail. But you're going to be scoring all of these little pieces here to make it rounded. I haven't decorated this one or anything, but same thing. You can see inside how it has the dividers and all of that stuff. So for this top flap, which is your main lid, you're going to need 1 piece of paper that is 5.5 inches by 5 5/8 inches. And then you're going to sew before attaching it and all that stuff. And then on the 5.5 inch side, you're going to do all these scores we're going to do together. But you need 5.5 by 5 5/8 inch paper for your lid. Okay, let's do these first. So this is what I'm saying, that it's the only piece you really don't have to have double-sided because you're only going to see the top of it. So for this is going to be the inside. So it's going to go like this. This is going to fold over. You're not going to see any of this. So this is going to be your outside right here. So for this one, you're going to need one piece that's 6.5 inches by 12 inches. And like I said, that's going to be your outside. And then for your inside, which of course is on the other side of this, this is what you're going to attach your chipboard to. And then this one's going to be the one that covers up your chipboard. So that's what you're going to see right here on the inside of your, and then the bottom and stuff of your bag. So you're going to need a piece that is 5 3/8 inches by 11 1/4 inches. And then you can sew it before if you want to. I did not sew this one because you're really not going to see it anyways, so I didn't think so. And then this one I ended up sewing because it's going to be the outside, but I'll be honest, I didn't sew on any of the other ones, like this paper, because I'd already put my chipboard on because I kind of assembly lined them once I got going. But, you know, this one's sewed, so you'll be able to see it on all the edges. But it's also not necessary if you don't want to, because these straps are going to cover it up. I also sewed down all the little edges, on these, on both sides. And on this set, I did not. I just sewed straight down the middle on them. My sewing machine was messing up, and it was a whole thing. So it just got what it got, the basics. So, you're going to need 6.5 by 12 inch for your main one, 5 3/8 inch by 11 1/4 inch for the inside, and that's all of your papers. Then you're going to need some chipboard. Now, what I ended up using for my chipboard is I have been using leftover album covers. As you can tell, this one was a really old paper pad that I had from My Mind's Eye, 2009. So it's really old. It had these glittered specialty papers in it, but I ended up gluing it and another thinner one together to give me some pretty sturdy cardstock. But if you have some actual cardstock, that will work too, with no problem. But you're going to need 3 pieces. So for your base pieces, you're going to need 2 of them. That's 5.5 inches by 4 1/2 inch. That's these 2. And then for your spine, which is not really your spine, but it's going to be your bottom, it's going to be 5.5 inches by 2 inches. So you're going to have 3 pieces for your chipboard base. So let's start working on going ahead and going through and scoring everything. So this one, you don't need to do anything to it. We will get to it when we get to it in a minute. So put those aside. Your straps, you do not need to score. This will be a score piece. These do not need to be scored. These are your inside dividers. You're not going to score those, so you can set those aside. These do not get scored, the tuck straps. The side gussets will be scored. The top handle strap will be scored, and these do not need to be scored. So we only have 3 pieces that need to be scored. Well, 3 things. This one has 2 pieces to it. So let's start with the side gussets first. You're going to put it down on the 6-inch side on your scoreboard. And hopefully I can do this, because normally I have to turn it every which way to be able to do it. I'm going to turn it a little bit. Okay, so you're going to put it on the 6-inch side. You're going to score on the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch 11 times. So you're going to start at 1/2 inch. So 1. And if you need to press down, you can. But this is a heavy-duty score tool my friend Mary bought me for Christmas as a surprise, and this thing is amazing. It's super heavy. She got it on scrapbook.com, but you can get them different places, but they are a little pricey, but they are worth it. Okay, so anyways, and 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, and 5 1/2. So that should be 11 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yes, you're going to have 11 score marks on there. So that's going to be the first one. And set that aside, and then we're going to do the second piece. So again, 1/2 inch, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, and 5 1/2. So that's your 2 pieces. You're going to set those aside. They'll get folded here in a little bit. And then next we're going to do the handle strap. This one's the top handle strap. So you're going to put it down, and you're going to score at 1 inch. It does make it a little bit harder because I sewed first. Then you're going to flip it around and score again at 1 inch. And that's pretty much going to create little squares, because they're just going to fold up, because these are going to attach, and you're going to have a handle like this. So, I need to trim that. Oh, there it is. It came off. Okay, so this one's the top handle strap. So now for this one. This one's 5 1/2 inches by 5 5/8 inches. This is your top folded lid. So, on the 5 1/2 inch side, which is here, you can see it goes to 5 1/2, because you do have one that's 5 5/8, so it's literally just one mark past the 1/2 inch. So you want it on the 5 1/2 inch side. We're going to start scoring at 1, and then you're going to score it every 1/4 inch. Well, not the rest of the way, but you're going to go at 1, 1 1/4. It's going to make it a little harder because I sewed it first. I would recommend scoring it first and then sewing it if you're going to do this. So 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/4, and 3 1/2. So you're going to stop at 3 1/2, because I know it's hard to see. It might be easier to see on that side. But this is going to be your score marks, because all of this is going to fold, because it's going to attach to everything else. So if you want to, you can fold each one of these little score lines. You can just fold them up. It's just to help give it that rounded shape for your bag. You're not doing no like heavy duty scoring or folding, and you don't need to crease it down or nothing like that. This just gives it a little bit of leeway. Just doing it with your fingers is fine. See, there you go. It gives it that rounded shape. So now you're done with that. You have your handle strap folded, and then your side gussets, you are going to, let me move this. Okay. So with these, you are just going to fold them, accordion fold, at all your score marks, going in and out. And you're going to start by folding up first so that the inside's showing, because this is going to be the part that you glue to your bag. So it's not going to show. You're just going to keep going. And if you want to, you can always just run your foam folder over. I don't do all the super tight lines whenever I'm doing these. Same thing with this one. Fold up first, and then you're just going to go back and forth. I think this would be super cute. You could make these as little teacher gifts. Make them for your girlfriends and include some little things in them. I think they're super, super cute. I know I'm going to love getting one because I'm in the swap. Well, I'm not going to get necessarily one of these, but I hope my partner likes hers. I don't know how she'll package hers, but... okay, so there's your gussets. I did make one for myself, though. So, I will be getting one. Okay, so this is going to be your top folded lid. All my papers are getting stuck together. Okay, that goes with that. Alright, so next we're going to work on, we're going to set all this other stuff aside, and we are going to work on putting together our bases. So again, your chipboard base is going to be 5.5 by 4.5, and you're going to need 2 of those, and then for your spine, it's 5.5 by 2. And then for your papers, you're going to need a 5 3/8 by 11 1/4, and a 6.5 by 12-inch piece. So, you're going to start out by flipping this over, because this is going to be your outside of your box. So, you want it to be this direction. And you're going to need your glue. You're going to need to be super, super generous with your glue. And I'm going to glue this side down for the main part. You could also use double stick tape. Not a tape runner, but actual like red line double stick type tape, so that you have a really good hold. I'm actually out, but I made all the other ones without it, and they've held up really nicely. So I've just been super generous with the glue all the way to the edges. You want to make sure you get all the edges so that it stays where it needs to for all the folds. So you're going to start by just kind of putting this one down in the middle. What I usually do, actually, and I didn't do this time, is I normally lay my stuff out first so I can be sure I'm where I need to be position-wise. So we're going to go with that and just kind of line it up in the middle. Press it down really good. You're going to need a little bit of an edge because we're going to have to tuck all that around. Same thing with this one. You're going to glue it really, really good all the way to the edges. Be very generous with your glue. These really don't take no time at all to make. Probably the longest part is deciding which paper you want to use where. That's really the hardest part of it. So whenever you put this together, you're going to leave maybe 1/4 of an inch between them. I know it's hard to see because everything is such a pattern, but you're going to need it to have room to be able to bend. So you want to leave just a little bit of space. And normally I take and use my score tool and I press it down really, really good so that glue really attaches where it needs to be. I love this paper so much. I think I might have a piece or two left of it, but I've pretty much used it all up. And then you're going to do this one the same exact way. You know, I didn't sew any of the other ones on this main page, and I probably shouldn't, so I would say if you haven't already, cross that one off. Don't sew it. You still can. It's just going to make it harder whenever I fold this over, and I didn't think about that. So, while it'll be pretty, you're not really going to see any of it except probably on the bottom. Alright, get all your pieces down really good. You need them to stay, because this is going to build your base to hold all the weight. Alright, then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to go around and you're going to snip your corners off, but you're going to leave, I don't know if you can see that, but you're going to leave a tiny amount right there so that your corner's not showing whenever you fold it over. You're going to do the same thing to all of them. Make sure you leave just a little bit of space on there. Don't cut the paper all the way to the corner. And then you're going to fold it over. Now, this is where I like to take my bond folder and I like to really get these edges down before I ever glue it. You could use double stick tape. If not, be extremely generous with the glue. Because this is what's holding it all together. So you want this part to be really sturdy. That's what I'm saying. If I would have sewed over, if you do sew over more. Don't go around the very edge. Like sew over more in the center so that you'll actually be able to see it. Because once I fold this over, you can see all the sewing is on the inside. So you're not even really going to see it. But, you know what? I've never said I'm perfect. I'm very much a fly by the seat of my pants, and that's a learning experience. Like I said, I didn't do it on any of the rest, but I thought it would be really cute to do it. But I would love to see if you guys try your hand at these. So definitely come over and join the Facebook group and post your creations. I love getting inspired from you guys and seeing what you guys create. Alright, so now that we have all of this tucked over, we're just going to go through. You're going to be super generous with the glue. This is where you want to add your double stick tape if you have it. Even tacky glue would work really good if you was generous with it. And sometimes it's even helpful if you put like some little craft clamps on it just to hold it in place. Or like a bulldog clip or something in a couple places. But I usually am very generous with my glue, and then I fold it over and I hold it for just a second. It's even harder because this is like the glittered paper on the cardstock. I know, why be easy, right? I'm pushing glue out, but it's not going to matter. We're going to cover this part up. But then I just go back through like this and I push it down really good. Make sure it's really on there. Sealed up tight. And you're going to go around and do all 4 corners that way. Or not corners, but all 4 sides. And I like to do opposite sides. It don't really matter which end you start with. At least I don't think it does. I think your grandkids would love these also if you made them. Even the teenagers, you could fill them up with some cute little things for them. You could put some pencils in them, some candy. Include a little card, of course. Pressing it down really good. And you're going to do the ends. Alright, so now that we have all of that glued, we're going to put our base on. And you can do it whichever side you wanted to show. You're just going to glue it on. So, I think I am going to go with this side showing. Once again, you're going to be super generous with your glue. You want everything to glue down good. Hold. Definitely go all the way to the edges with your glue. You don't have to go overboard with like big glops of glue, but you do want glue at all your edges. That's why I love this, because it has such a fine tip. It actually needs to be refilled. It's almost empty, so it's even thinner than usual. But the edges are the big thing. Okay, so we're going to glue this on. Just kind of line it up. Give it around the same amount of space on all sides. This one's a little bit over, but it's okay. And then you're going to take your score tool and you're just going to go through and you're going to put it down really good. Okay, so then we have that. So we have our base built. You know, we got some give this a minute to just dry before you start folding it and all that stuff. So next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach our top here. This is a good space to put double stick tape. You're going to use the small part of this. Once we've done it, you're going to have it's hard to see, I know, with the color stripes, but you're going to have a wider part and you're going to have a skinnier part. And of course this is going to be my outside where I sewed. But back here on this back part is where we're going to take and attach it. I do have a tiny bit of this double stick tape left, so I'll just run a piece on it. It's like the perfect width for this. But I also add glue. So, because you want this to stay on. This is what is going to bear the weight of your handle and all that whenever you pick it up. So, you want it attached good. And we're going to add our glue all the way to the edges once again. You don't want it running out everywhere, but you want it on there to attach good. Okay, and then what you're going to do, it's not really going to matter because it's going to look, unless you have it a certain way that it needs to be, because when it bends, when you fold it, see, that's not attached good, so it's popping up in the center. But it's going to have to be good. It's not going to be seen anyways. If you have directional paper, you might want to keep that in mind. I don't, so I'm just going to put mine on. But you're going to take this small strip and you're going to line this up. I like to fold mine back. And then you're just going to line it up evenly on here. And this is what you're going to have. You will have a little bit of overhang. I probably need to pull mine over a little bit. Oops. So that they're more even. Make sure I got it even over here. Okay. And then you're just going to press it down really good. And I usually turn it over and just press down good here also. I might have to add a little bit of glue on the edges to get that to stay down like it should. See how it's popping up? Because my glue wasn't good enough in the center. But anyways, okay. So now we have that done. So what we're going to do next is we are going to attach our straps. So we have our straps. We have two short ones at 1 4 1/4 inches, and we have two long ones here at 1 by 11 inches long. So what we are going to do is we're going to take our, oh, this one's the handle. Just kidding, we're not using that one. Let's find my other one. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay. So we are going to attach these ones first. So when you fold it, this is going to be your front now, and it's going to come down like this to attach. So we're going to put our straps right here on the front. So you're going to want to take these two short straps and you are going to put them, align them kind of where you want, maybe a 1/2 inch on each side away. So I'm going to use some more of this tape since I sewed on these right down the middle. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult, but this is like the perfect width. It makes it a little bit harder to attach it whenever you sewed on it. Okay, I'm still going to add glue though, but it's not going to go all the way to the very top edge up here. You're going to line it up down here at the bottom with the fold. because the top part's going to be hidden whenever it's closed. So I'm going to go all the way to my edges. These are just for decorative. So for these front straps, they don't hold any weight or anything like that. But I like to fold mine, and then I'm going to attach. Like I said, leave about a 1/2 inch or so. It's not going to go all the way to the edge up here, but you just want to line it up right here, but not going over the edge, but right on top of your fold. So put it on there and press it down really good. And then we're going to do the other one. And you could do these for any season. These are the only Valentine's ones I've done. All my other ones are more springy looking, you know, more colorful. So I love them. I love them all. This became a little obsession, and I was really getting into making a bunch of these. And then everybody's like, well, what are you going to do with them? Well, I guess I'm going to give away some stuff in them. Give them out to my friends. So, about a 1/2 inch or so. That's probably a little less than 1/2 inch. I'm just thinking zip strip. Y'all know I'm terrible at measuring. I just like to eyeball stuff pretty much. And you can tell I'm also a terrible sewer because some of my stitches are like jammed together. It's because I couldn't get my paper to like go through. I don't know, and I'm not very good at using a sewing machine, so it's just kind of user error, I'm sure. Okay, so next we're going to take, these are going to be our other straps that go on the front. And what I like to do is I turn my box over, bag, whatever you want to call it. So here's my fold. It's going to line up, but you're going to want it to line up with these back here. So, and you're only going to attach it to the edge of up here, like where this attaches. So, you need to keep that in mind whenever you're adding tape and glue and all that stuff. So I'll put another little piece of this on here, kind of measure it out. Same thing with this one. But I'm going to add glue also because these are going to be the ones that hold your weight of your strap whenever you're picking it up. So you want to get these on good. Okay, so I'm just going to put my finger here to know, don't put glue past this point. And then you're just going to add glue. And you're going to want to go all the way to the edges. And then you're going to line it up. So I just kind of eyeball it. If you had something else you could put over, like a ruler or something, to make sure it measures up. Let's see here. So, for the most part, it does. It's going a little bit crooked, it looks like. So I'm going to line it up there, and then if you line it up back here, it should line up around on the front whenever you actually go to close it. So same thing here. I'm going to line it up and put my finger so I know, don't glue past that point. same thing. So my fold starts here. So let's just put that on there. So that roughly it's lined up. Press it down good. Okay, so now we have our straps. And pretty much what I like to do is your big flap is pretty much going to line up with this front here. So what I like to do is take one of the little Velcros, and I just picked these up at the Dollar Tree. You get a bunch of them in a pack. I keep them in an old gum case with my little magnets. You could use a magnet too, but those magnets I have are crap. They're not real strong at all, so they don't really hold nothing. I prefer the Velcro. So you're just going to kind of go down a little bit and then pull this off. You can add extra glue if you would like. So then you're going to bend it up to close it. And you're going to run this around, kind of hold it up, make sure everything's lined up, and then press it down where you want it to stick. So it'll be on there really good. So then we're at this point where our straps are coming around. But what I like to do is put my little tiny front straps on first, which are, where are they? These little bitty ones. You could use a zip strip piece and just cut it ever how you want to, but they're 1/2 inch by 2 inches. And what I do is I just put them right here. I kind of eyeball it once again of how far my straps are going to go in. So I think I'm going to put it up here like this, and then you're just going to put glue on the edges of each side. So leave the center open and put it on here. Now you want it to stay tight, like don't leave extra in there because you want it to hold your strap in good. So you don't want it super tight, but you don't want it loose either. So I just usually push it straight down. I don't leave extra with it. So you're just going to put glue on the edges, and then I like to stand it up to look at it and eyeball it of where it's going to go. So, but you could use a ruler again to put it where you need it. Have a little piece of thread hanging. Okay. So now you have that. You need to give it a minute to let the glue, like I use Barely Art, so it usually sets up pretty quick, but these are just going to run through like this to hold your bag shut. And so far, here's what we have. This paper's sticking up though, so don't be like me. Add enough glue so it'll stay. But we have our rounded shape going, as you can tell. And then we have this. So next up, what we need to do is attach our handle. So here's our handle. It is 1 inch by 5.5 inches. Score it 1 inch, flip over, score it 1 inch, and then it folds up on both sides. So then you are going to put it on here. This is going to be your handle. So I usually take my crocodile because I use it on the small hole, and I kind of just line up where I want it to fall at. And then you're going to pop a hole through it. So what I usually end up doing is I go ahead and I add glue. You could use double stick tape too. That would work great. Let's find it. I'll put a piece on each side to help hold it. But I've glued all the other ones and didn't use this tape. But you can put your tape on here and it'll help hold it in place. If not, just add your glue. And you're going to hold it in place for just a second. And then you're going to pop a hole through this strap and this handle strap to attach it with brads. If you don't have brads, you could use a stapler and staple it to it. But you want something that is going to hold up well, because it's going to be bearing all your weight whenever you pick it up. So I'm also going to add some glue. Make sure it stays on good. And I like to hold it like this to push it up where it needs to go. And then you can kind of just see exactly where it needs to set in the middle. And then, like I said, if you're just using glue, you're just going to hold it in place for a minute. Let that glue set up for a second. But since I use double stick tape, it's on there pretty good. I'm going to open this up so I can lay it down flat. I'm going to use this and press these down. And then you're going to take your hole punch or whatever you have, and you're just going to pop a hole. Close that over right in the center of the square. Alright, so now that you have that, like I said, you could staple this. Don't punch the hole, just put staples. You know, you can do a few to make it more decorative, you know, make an X, whatever, if you wanted to. But then you're going to take your brads. I have 2 brads that I'd already dug out that's pink. And you're just going to put them through here. Oops. You can use big brads if you want to. You could use, you know, you could put some bling on it if you just decided to glue it and not anything else. But I would recommend doing some other form of attaching because, like I said, this is going to hold all your weight. Okay, so this is what I have. And then you're going to have this ready to roll. So I'm going to put these in to help hold. And then here's what we got so far. So we got our bag, and we can hold it. So next up, we're going to be adding our gussets and our inserts. So for your gussets, again, you're going to need 2 pieces that's 3.5 by 6. You're going to score on the 6-inch side at a 1/2 inch 11 times. And then for your inside dividers, you're going to need 2 of those at 3.5 inches by 5 3/8 inches. So to add your side gussets in, once again, you're going to open it back up. I've just closed it so many times so I can show you guys what we should be doing. And then you are going to glue on these inside pieces. So I always start with one side first. Whoops, this is going to be my outside. So I'm going to put glue on here, double stick tape. Any of those things would be awesome because, you know, this is going to be what holds your centers together whenever you have it open. So So get it all the way to the edge. And then I go right at the bottom of my fold and I add this in right all the way up to the edge. Leave just a tiny bit of space there. I don't know how well y'all can see that. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and really press it down there. And then I'm going to leave that like that for a minute, and I'm going to do this side. So, exact same thing. You are just going to line it up, press it down. Okay, so then you have these two sides attached. Next, same thing, you're going to put glue on. You are going to attach this to the other side. So what I usually do is end up flipping it over so I can see what's going on. You're going to line it up over here on the side. Same thing, you're just going to press it down really good. Same thing over here. And add your glue. Press it down. Okay, then that's your gussets attached. Okay, give them a little bit of time to dry before, you know, doing a lot of pulling and tugging and stuff, but make sure they're on there good. And then for your inserts, your two inserts, 3.5 by 5 3/8 inch, you are just going to, they just go down in here. You can decide where you want to put them. And what I do is I just add glue on this very edge, and I just do it minimally because it helps hold them in place and the gussets in place. You could totally leave these free floating if you want to and not glue them in, but I put just the tiniest bit of glue on the edges, and then I usually put it in at the second fold, and I push it down, and then what I do is I usually go through and I just press this down onto it so that it'll hold it a little bit to keep it, you know, it makes it sturdier. Like I said, you don't have to do this part, but I like to do it just to help with the sturdiness of everything and holding them where they need to stay. And then same thing on this one. Just the tiniest bit of glue on your edges. And on this one. And then I put it 1, 2. And then same thing, I press them down. Just for stability. And that pretty much gives you your bag. It's complete. Give it a little bit of drying time to make sure everything's like good and dry. But then you can, you're ready to close it up, and you are ready to decorate it however you choose. So there you have your little messenger bag for Valentine's or whatever you choose to make it as. You could really jazz it up. I have just some flowers sitting here, but you could put a flower down here and put like a little sentiment here. You could do a rosette. You know, mine, I did just a flower here, and then I put some of these little hearts on each side of the little strap, which you could totally do here also. Alright, so I just wanted to jump on and say my battery went dead on my phone, so that is essentially your bag. I'm posting some pictures of the other ones I have done. I hope that you guys enjoyed this and that it inspires you to make your own. Come over and share it on the Facebook group. And until next time, bye y'all.